Hey everyone. I just wanted to take a few minutes to hopefully give you something through this video to reflect on coming off of Easter Sunday and a message that we called Out of the Mess Comes New Life. And I'm hoping that this will just allow you to have some pause in this week where you can reflect on some of the things that we discussed and maybe just have another conversation with the people in your life. Because I think we talked about some stuff that is helpful for all of us. And the first thing is that resurrection points to new life, new beginnings, and a new start. And it was also a fulfillment of a promise, and because that promise was fulfilled, because resurrection happened, we know that the pain of Friday, Jesus didn't stay there, and he was raised back from the dead into new life. And that's the same promise and the hope that we have today. And we talked about the difference of the in-between times and how Friday to Sunday is the reality of life that we all experience. There's pain in Friday. There's anger, there's resentment, there's bitterness, there's broken relationships. There's all these things that happen on Friday, and the Saturday represents having to live with that, the angst of that, and trying to figure out how am I going to get to the other side? And yet Sunday is coming. And that's the hope that we have. And that's what resurrection points to, saying that if you stay in there long enough and you keep wrestling and keep pursuing, keep persevering, that you're going to get to that miracle that's waiting. And that's what Sunday and resurrection is all about. And so we talked about those in-between times. And what does it entail? So a lot of times is this about a trust in God, that there's going to be this hope that's on the other side of it. And yet we sometimes disqualify ourselves because we make faith an all or nothing proposition, when really all we proposed was, hey, can you take what we call the trembling trust? Can you take that step from Friday to Saturday, take another step, a trembling trust step that will lead you closer to that Sunday? And if you keep doing that, the hope is, when you gather yourself with other people and you wrestle with God and you take those steps, that Sunday is coming. And that's the hope that we have. And so I love that concept of us thinking about just taking a step of trembling trust. And then we also talked about the idea that resurrection is often dirty. It's not like this nice, tidy package. It's messy, it's unexpected, it's troubling, it's disconcerting. And we talked about that, this lady named Nadia Bolz-Weber, she's a Lutheran minister, and she just had a great quote and then some points for us to think about. Her quote was this: "New doesn't always look perfect. Like the Easter story itself, new is often messy." And then she goes, new looks like, and these are the things I hope that you ponder. I got a lot of great feedback on these points. And so I'm just going to repeat them to you, and hopefully you can think about them. But this is what resurrection often looks like. The first one is reconciliation between family members who don't actually deserve it. I think all of us can relate to that, right? Where we have people in our lives that for whatever reason, we've stopped talking to, stopped having a relationship, and we love these people. So take that step of trembling trust. That would be a form of resurrection. How about the newly sober alcoholic, right? If you ever walked with someone struggling with that addiction, you understand what that step of trembling trust to get to the other side where healing is present, and they need people like you in their lives to help them get to that side. How about the first day on the job or first semester at the new school, filled with all those fears and the unknown? That's a form of resurrection, taking that step. Simply asking for help, right? When we're in the midst of the Friday to Sunday, and being willing to ask someone else to help intervene and step in the gap with you. How about being the biggest or oldest or slowest person in the room and still getting on the treadmill? I love that. That's the courage to say, I don't care what other people say. Resurrection is about this new life that I want to start today, and I'm willing to do it. How about getting up the courage to speak up for the kid that's getting picked on and fumbling over your words? See, it's not the words that matter. It's not being eloquent in that moment. It's having the courage to step in. And it's that action step that makes all the difference. And that's what resurrection is. It's an action. Oh, how about this one? Saying the words, I forgive you, in our head again and again when you are days or months away from saying it out loud. Forgiveness is one of those things that can restore all sorts of relationships. But it starts with us, again, that trembling trust in our heads, working it through until we're ready to take that step of action and actually sharing it with another person. And then the last one is praying the prayer when you aren't convinced there's anyone really there listening. And that's what this is all about. I'm just putting forth, like, there's this relationship with God that's out there that you can have, that you can pursue. And the more you do these things, the more steps that you take of trembling trust, the more you learn to trust God, and you see his faithfulness shown over and over again in life, even though it doesn't go the way that you hoped or planned oftentimes. But that's the reality of this Christian struggle, this Christian walk. And we want to be able to do that with you. And we propose the idea of the God of Easter is a God with dirt under his nails. And I just want to stand here today and just let you know, like, we're the kind of church, we're a group of people who are not afraid of getting our hands dirty. Because that's who God is, and that's what we want to be about. This God that we serve, he gets messy with us, reaching into our pain, experiencing with us, and lifting us out again. And we want to be the kind of people that are willing to step into that gap and be people that will step into the pain and the struggle with you to help you get to the other side. And then lastly, we just talked about this idea of that we're all in this together, because the response when they found out that Jesus had risen, they talked about some of them had, some worshiped him and some doubted. And that didn't seem to faze Jesus in the least, the fact that you had all these two different types of people, those that just accepted very easily and worshiped him, but those that struggled and doubted. He says to both of them, and he gives them the Great Commission to go out and make disciples. And so I love that we're all in this together. It doesn't matter where you're at in the spiritual journey. The point that matters is, will you enter into it? Will you participate with us? And I'm hoping that you do. And I hope that you take some time this week just to take a moment to reflect on some of these thoughts. And then join us again this Sunday for a new series that we're in called Your Story Matters. Thanks for joining us.